Well, what I would like to do now is to look at the wine growing region of France. Now, this is not because France is the country for wine. Now, good wines are produced in many other countries, but what's so special about France is that they have so many, in such a small areas, they have so many different varieties of wine, and they have developed such a, how could I say, a bureaucracy to label their wine, and it's worth looking as to how they actually have done that. Well, the first region I would like to look at is the Bordeaux region. Now, the Bordeaux region is probably the most famous of all these, but I just want to, on the side, mention that there is another region known as Bergerac, which is also produces great wine, and actually its main claim to fame is that's where I was born. But let's go back to the Bordeaux region. The Bordeaux type of wine are the supposedly aristocratic type of wine. One thing that is very special with them is that they really do age well. For instance, you can find different type of Chateau Lafite, and you can see that they can go back to the 18th century, 18th and 19th century. In fact, the most expensive bottle of wine ever bought was a Chateau Lafite, a 1787, and that bottle of wine was bought for $160,000 by the financier Malcolm Forbes. Actually, some people claim that it is a fraud, that it was a fake, and a book was written, a delightful book called The Billionaire's Vinegar. So I would really recommend that you read this book. It's really quite interesting. This bottle of wine was never opened. It's supposedly and the head office of the Forbes company under glaring light saying that this is the most expensive bottle of wine ever bought. I bought another Chateau Lafite, this time an 1822 Chateau Lafite, was bought by a group of Texan lawyers for $31,000, and this one was opened and tested. After the fact, one of the lawyer was asked, what do you think of this wine? Well, remember that each glass of wine was roughly $6,000, and the only thing that the man could say is that it was interesting. Interesting indeed when you have spent $6,000 for a few sips of wine, but 1822. From 1822. Well, let's go back to the Bordeaux region. Actually, the Bordeaux region is not a single region. It's subdivided in about 24 different regions. Some of these regions produce great wine, some so-so wine. So it is really important to remember the name of the top wine producing region. You have the Médoc that produces red wine. You have the Graves that produce red and white wine. Then you have the Pomerol that produces mostly red wine, great wine. And also the Saint-Emilion that produces red wine, a smaller region. And then finally, you have the Sauternes. Now, Sauternes is special because it produces an unusual type of wine. What's so special is that it produces a wine made from rotten grape. A rot is allowed to develop on the grape, which means that it dehydrates the grape, and when it comes to fermentation, there is a lot of residual sugar. Fermentation stops, but there's still a lot of sugar that is left behind. And the Sauternes wine are very, very sweet, and they're really great wine to, for instance, to have with, if you're allowed to have it in your country, to have it with foie gras. The greatest of the Sauternes is Chateau d'Yquem, #1, and typically it costs over 500, that is in Canada, for a bottle. That's for about a good year, close to $600. Actually, let's just go back. That rot that is found on grapes is known as the botrytis rot, but the French call it la pourriture noble, something that is really quite special. Well, talking about botrytis, let me move forward again. Talking about botrytis, that actually rot is used by Dior to make a very special face cream. the noble rod for the noble face. Well, not cheap. It's about $400 for a container of that cream L'Or de Vie.